Hi, my name's Kayla. I'm in Year 7. I'm good at sports and arts. I used to be good at maths and science, but I just keep forgetting stuff now and it's really hard to keep up, and that's if I even show up to class. Some of the students in my class think I'm quiet and shy, but I'm so much more mature than what they are. I'll only hang around with Year 9s and 10s. So what if they've been busted for drugs? Don't tell my parents, they don't speak English very well, but they're chilled. They do their best, but they struggle for money. If I could get some help, I reckon I could go to uni and do visual arts.
As secondary school teachers, it is imperative that we assist students who are having a difficult time with their transition from childhood to adolescence and work with them to ensure a smooth changeover. Today we are here to discuss Kayla. It is noted that her behaviours as of late have changed and have caught the eye of some of her teachers. The main points that are noted are her truancy of classes, her new circle of friends, and her home environment. In order to document how to best assist Kayla, today's meeting is based on discussing and understanding her brain development, physical development, and social development, in order to understand Kayla's current developmental issues. Through looking at these three developmental perspectives of Kayla, we aim to come up with some pertinent interventions to positively assist Kayla.
As we've just seen, and based on Kayla's earlier report, adolescence is a socio-cultural construction, not just biological. Importantly, young people experience this differently across cultures. And Kayla has myriad developmental issues, specifically her physical and cognitive states suggest her brain is more developed than her age peers. Puberty is proximally timed by internal and external stimuli that serve as permissive signals for reproduction and maturation, and Kayla's body is undergoing significant biological changes, with much of these initiating from her brain. Puberty's hormonal changes start in the hypothalamus as it increases production of gonadotropin-releasing hormone, or GnRH. For Kayla, this started some years ago as her GnRH increased a few years before her bodily changes are evident, i.e. her increased breast size, pimples and other aspects of bodily maturation related to increased hormone production. The level of body fat and the protein leptin produced by fat cells is the trigger to the hypothalamus to increase hormone production. And body fat in adolescent females surges more than boys during puberty, and girls at the end of puberty have a muscle to fat ratio of 5 to 4, while in boys it's 3 to 1. And Kayla's physical size and maturity suggests increasing body fat levels, and this increase in GnRH then triggers the pituitary gland, which releases gonadotropin hormones FSH and LH. These stimulate the production of gametes or egg cells in females and sex hormones. And for Kayla, this would be estrogens, with estradiol being the most important, and results in Kayla's breast growth and many other changes such as menarche. As Siskin's urge suggests, these hormones sculpt neural circuits during adolescence, a time of dramatic rewiring of the nervous system. There are pubertal processes occurring such as synaptogenesis, which is a proliferation of synapses, and myelinization, the increased insulation around synapses. That is, there's an accompanying complexity of synaptic reorganisation. Her brain might be more sensitive to experiential input in executive function and social cognition, and this could partly explain Kayla's hanging around with older, riskier kids to expose her to other experiences that are more stimulating or more mature.
So all of this brain biology is great, but what are the implications for Kayla?
Yeah, good question. There are problems for early maturing girls, especially in Western cultures, with increased risk of depressed mood, negative body image, eating disorders, delinquency, aggression, school problems and parental conflict. And also boys become sexually attracted to early developing girls like Kayla because of physical body maturation, and Kayla is already showing many signs of these. There's myriad research on adolescent risk-taking, and we need to mitigate risk by educating Kayla into making good life choices. For example, adolescents peak physically and mentally, but also have increased morbidity due to preventative risk-taking. Australian and overseas adolescents take many risks with alcohol, drugs, both illegal and prescription, and experiment with sex and crime, and Kayla could be tempted. In terms of intervention, Kayla's brain development could be helped by tutoring in her weaker subjects, whether by her peers or privately, to get her confidence back in maths and science. As Besant argues, Kayla could be given more responsibility around school to utilise her maturity and show her the community citizen benefits and how events connect to her emotions, and this should improve Kayla's decision making and judgments. However, it's important to note two things. Most of the research I've cited was conducted on white youths and so does not reflect any cultural differences, despite it being a key determinant of the experience of adolescence. And two, these brain biology changes do not operate independently of all the other changes Kayla's experiencing.
So social development plays a key role in growing up, and it's obvious that Kayla has started to experience some of the changes that are affecting her friendships and academic achievement. There is a connection between academic and social emotional learning, which in turn promotes core skills that are essential for positive life outcomes, such as self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, relationship management, and responsible decision-making. It's normal for adolescents at Kayla's age to spend more time with peers and form close attachments outside the family with friends who share similarities not just in age but educational orientation, media and leisure preferences, participation in risk behaviour, and ethnicity. The intimate relationships between friends provides adolescents with a new perspective as they share thoughts, feelings, and honest evaluations. In Kayla's case, we need to intervene early and promote interactions with peers that have mutual positive attitudes towards school and help her to develop a positive self-image. This is important as we know from Vygotsky's theory that cognitive development is both a social and cultural process, and adolescents learn through interactions with others, which in fact correlates with Charles Cooley's idea of the looking glass self and how people develop a sense of self through social interactions. We can encourage Kayla to form new friendships through collaborative work in class and maybe even set her up with a peer tutoring session to improve her grades in maths and science, which have been slipping as of late. New opportunities for SEL may prevent her from participating in risky behaviour such as drinking, smoking and drug use, which we know her current friends partake in and is common amongst adolescents. I think Kayla shows a lot of promise in visual arts, and she's mentioned to me a few times that she would like to take that direction and possibly go to uni. I'm going to look into art competitions and prizes in the local community that I can get her and other students involved in. Participating in extracurricular activities promotes a range of positive outcomes, including greater school attachment and a sense of belonging, better academic achievement and aspirations, as well as developing a positive sense of self through autonomy and self-directed development. Maybe we can even look at getting her involved in sports teams after school as well.
Sounds great. I'll speak to her after our next class about getting involved in Saturday sports. We do have basketball this semester, which I know she's always been interested in.
Great. Okay, so just one last note, I'd like to stress the importance of parent involvement within the school. There may be a few language barriers, but if we insist on a variety of verbal and written communication methods, we can ensure involvement and motivation for Kayla in her achievement and behaviour. Positive family functioning is key in promoting social and emotional well-being, and it also ensures that Kayla maintains a close connection with her parents.
There are some physical changes that have been noted with Kayla that can be seen to contribute to her behavioural changes as of late. Kayla has been noted to have physically developed earlier than other students, which has shifted her physical appearance. This included the development of larger breasts and hormonal increases resulting in pimples. This early development has ultimately affected Kayla's self-esteem, which has resulted in changes in her personality and social construct. Arnott states that with the early release of hormones, Kayla's body has developed at a faster rate than her peers. Through her early development, it has made Kayla stand out amongst her peers, as an early entry into pubescence is easily noticeable. Kayla's early development through puberty seems to correlate with detrimental outcomes that the staff have noticed as of late. Kayla is noted as someone who, through her physical development, has altered her identity to fit into an advanced social norm of participating in social activities that Capel and LASIK note are more common amongst Year 10 students and above. Arnott notes that time difference in maturation seem to increase risk for emotional and behavioural problems during adolescence, with girls who mature earlier than their peers finding pubertal adjustments especially challenging. These behavioural problems are evident within Kayla's noticeable absence from class. It is interesting to note that there is a correlation between Kayla's early physical development and her engagement with risky behaviour. Arnott notes that risky behaviour includes alcohol and cigarette use, criminal acts, risky driving practices, and sexual behaviour, which is linked to selective association by conforming with people who you believe you won't have more in common with. It is important for us as a school board to address these issues now, as McDavid states that if and when this behaviour is established, it may endure into late adolescence, emerging adulthood and beyond, which could prove detrimental in the future for Kayla.
Yeah, in what ways could it prove detrimental for Kayla?
Yeah, good question. It could prove detrimental with a decrease in self-esteem, which Dean notes can lead to becoming withdrawn from social settings, higher anxiety levels, and a risk of underage pregnancy. Such behaviour can also lead to a decrease in school efforts that will in turn give Kayla limited education, resulting in a lack of employment opportunities in the future. As we note that Kayla is a bright student, if this behaviour is not addressed, it is going to cause long-term disadvantages for her. In terms of assisting Kayla, it is imperative that we first look at Kayla's attendance, which the Department of Education state is a major influence on children's educational outcomes. By placing Kayla on an attendance performance card, we can actively monitor her attendance, ensuring she meets her full potential. It will be imperative that we reward Kayla for attendance to help break current trends of not attending classes. It is probably also a good idea to look at enticing Kayla with some programs or scholarships that are of interest to her. Kayla is a promising artist and unfortunately, due to her family's economical situation, doesn't have a monetary tertiary education in her future. By showing Kayla avenues to support her further education, we can also help secure Kayla's attendance at school. In turn, Kayla's physical development has been amplified by her current social behaviours that Miss Bell, her visual arts teacher, will also discuss today. With Kayla's early development, we must look at research that Kayla is more prone to being involved with the following: low self-esteem, early participation in sexual intercourse, befriending more mature adults, male and female, and participating in illegal or frowned upon activities.
Adolescent Development and Teaching has provided me with an understanding of the interchangeable relationship between the cognitive, physiological and social needs of adolescents that must be considered when developing my teaching practice, and in turn how my teaching practice will influence each individual student as they transition through puberty towards adulthood. As a teacher, it is important to acknowledge that every adolescent is unique and will progress through developmental milestones at different rates and abilities as a result of maturation. Touching on cognitive development, Piaget's theory highlighted how important lesson planning is to ensure that students have a balanced intrinsic load and can assimilate and accommodate new information when appropriate. For instance, in design and technology, students will understand that a drill press has a similar function to a power drill but operates differently. Vygotsky's idea of scaffolding and the zone of proximal development has also emphasized the importance of lesson sequencing with practical demonstration. For example, showing students the correct procedure for operating a drill press to successfully and accurately drill a hole, rather than expect them to use a new piece of machinery without any prior knowledge. These techniques will assist in maintaining student engagement, which is essential to positive learning outcomes, building student-teacher rapport and promoting a supportive and nurturing environment that encourages student learning. Adolescents develop the newfound ability to understand more complex ideas and think abstractly, which may become overwhelming to some, especially when trying to navigate physical, mental, social and emotional changes simultaneously. This unit has equipped me as a PSD to identify changes in adolescent behaviour and attitudes that result from stress and other external factors such as school and family. Responding in an appropriate manner and involving other staff members when necessary is essential in assisting the student to develop coping mechanisms that enables them to become more resilient and enhances self-conceptions. Lastly, Vygotsky's theory of cognitive development also confirms my understanding of social and emotional learning and the idea that adolescents learn through social interactions with others. SEL is established through the systematic teaching of ethical and moral skills, knowledge, attitudes and behaviours that facilitate the learner to make successful decisions independently in the future, and is therefore something I will remain conscious of in my future teaching practice.
This course gave me a much more detailed understanding of how adolescents develop and how much their socio-cultural situation affects their experience and timing of adolescence. Every adolescent is their own unique person with their own skills and issues. It also highlighted the myriad consequences and need for PSTs to be acutely aware of even the smallest behavioural or attitudinal changes in students and provide them the support and caring they need as they change, physically, mentally, socially and emotionally. As a PST, it's essential we nurture students' learning, especially while they are on the adolescent roller coaster. This can be achieved by taking a holistic view of the students' world in which they function, from school to family to community. As adolescents spend most of their waking time at school, it is an opportunity for PSTs to develop responsible, caring young people, along with the advice and support of the parents, caregivers and other teaching professionals. One goal of mine is to educate young people into independent, confident thinkers that feel safe and supported in their school environment. By applying understandings of Piaget's adolescent development stages and Vygotsky's learning processes and potentially risky behaviours which can be both beneficial and or detrimental, I hope to generate relevant, exciting and engaging lessons in geography. While I've tutored high school and university students and still do regularly teach young people with a disability, I have a new challenge ahead in framing geography so that adolescents see it as important, interesting and valuable, and generally as hot cognition. By meeting some of their social and emotional needs by relating other areas and cultures of the world to their own, adolescent students can hopefully embrace that they are not alone, that everyone is different in some way, but all are valued.
Through Adolescent Development and Teaching, I have learned that early adolescence is a distinct period of development where adolescents experience rapid developmental changes. In a school context, all students come to the classroom with an individual set of behaviours that will affect their academic achievements throughout their schooling career. As such, it is important that as educators, pre-service teachers have an understanding of developmental behaviours that influence student behaviour both inside and outside the classroom, as well as utilise advice from parents and other professionals to ensure we have a sound understanding of our students. This unit has taught me that there are numerous areas that need to be considered when looking at the development of students that work concurrently from their biological, social and cultural backgrounds. This unit has helped develop my understanding that all students develop at different times, and it is important to understand the reasons behind this, to develop rapport with students and also to help identify barriers that may be hindering their education. The knowledge I have gained about adolescent development will influence my teaching practices in both the strategies I incorporate and my interactions with students, as I now have an appreciation for how different students develop at different times, as I am more aware of the diverse teaching methods I will need to incorporate. Understanding the work of certain theorists, namely Vygotsky and Piaget, has also heightened my understanding of the importance of understanding students. Through understanding Vygotsky's zone of proximal development, I, as a teacher, can visualise different stages my students will be at and can adapt my teaching practices to suit. Piaget will also help influence my teaching practices with his constructionist theory, prompting me to design teaching environments that are interactive for students, as well as creating critical thinkers. In my KLA of History, I now intend on creating exciting lesson plans by including tangible resources and ICT resources in lessons to help cater to my students' differential needs, whilst also looking at students' social and emotional constructs, as each student is unique and reaches milestones at different times. Adolescent Development and Teaching has in turn made me more reflective on my future teaching practices, which will allow me to enhance the needs of all students.
So as a group, we've decided to place Kayla on an attendance performance card, as well as offer her group work and artistic opportunities. Similarly, we get her more involved in sport, as well as providing mentoring. We'll involve her parents and also look at tutoring.
The things I say. They say there's no such thing as self-abuse, but you wonder how I can be trusted.